yeah. Let me tell you something now. Let me tell you something right now. Here I go again. Welcome to the show, everybody. We are back. We are live. We're sexy. We're very sexy. You guys ready to roll? U.S. government shutdown is officially ending. Well, I wouldn't say official. Still has to go through the House and all that stuff, but the Senate passed what they needed to pass. That's the important thing. The centrist left Democrats actually came forward and just said, let's just end the shutdown. We don't have a lot of choice. They stood up, they voted, they did what they had to do. Good. Now, they're going to work with the Republicans on some sort of continuing resolution or whatever to try to get the ACA subsidies back up and running. Me personally, though, I really don't think people should be dependent on federal government. Granted, I do believe that there should be programs that are set up by each individual state to do what they need to do. I do believe that when you send money to the federal government, I don't think it's being used for good. In fact, if anything, I think it's used for dishonest purposes. I don't trust the federal government. I don't trust big government in general. And I think when you read a little bit of history, one would conclude that too much government equals too much problems. Too many problems. So for those who think that, for those of you who think that things like socialism and communism are good things, I mean, if there was an old saying that says if socialists and communists understood economics, they wouldn't be socialists or communists. So it's usually an uneducated person on economics. So that's why I just think that I think that socialism and communism work opposite to what the reality of the world is. I think it is a belief of delusion. Straight up. What's going on, my brony brothers? But yeah, I really do believe at the end of the day that socialism and communism just suck. They're terrible ideas. They're the worst ideas. And I just don't, I think if you understand economics in any way, shape, or form, I don't understand how you could be a communist. Because honestly, if you want to create poverty, the irony is that capitalism creates wealth. It pulls more people out of poverty. And all socialism and communism does is it creates poverty. This is why I've never, I can understand maybe young people getting into socialism and communism, but not older people. I don't get that. I'm not saying everybody needs to be like a stout Republican or anything, but I'm a card-carrying capitalist for sure. I'm not saying capitalism's perfect, but for fuck's sakes, if you study any of the cultures that have practiced these things, you kind of have to come to the conclusion. I don't know how anybody could come to any other conclusion. But hey, the government shutdown is going to be ending. This is great. The Senate did exactly what I predicted that they should do. And supposedly everything's on the right track. By the way, the Michael Garza Show now has an exclusive show called The Secret Show. It's a secret exclusive show for members only. And if you want to become a member, you're asking what's wrong with social democracy? Everything. Every single thing. Democracy is actually a bad idea. We're a constitutional representative republic on the federal level. I think on the state level, democracy is okay because you do need to figure a few things out on the state level through democratic process. But when it gets to the federal level, for God's sakes, you should never have democracy on the federal level. It gets too messy and gets too complicated. Centralized democracy is bad. It is just bad, especially when it's a governing power as big as the federal government. You don't want a toxic idea like democracy. I think democracy is actually a toxic idea on on a small scale. Democracy's fine. On a big scale, you best be watching out, man. Nope. We are still not a democracy. We may vote for those representatives, but at the end of the day, that's still not democracy. Look at the wording. Look at the wording in the Constitution. Tell me where you're going to see democracy listed. Our founding fathers knew that democracy was a joke. And we're not a democracy. I'm sorry. We're a representative republic. Yes, does each state vote for those representatives? Absolutely they do. That doesn't make it a democracy, though. Because at the end of the day, you're voting to get those people in through a democratic process. But on the federal level, once they're in, there is no democracy there. It is that those representatives represent you, but they don't have to do what you say. That's the beauty of it. See, democracy is mob rule at the end of the day. Mob rule is disgusting. I hate mob rule. Mob rule is probably one of the worst things out there, if we're going to be completely honest. So people falling in love with things like democratic socialism, which is taking two bad ideas, by the way, and combining them together. Yeah, it still makes it a representative republic. It's still not technically a democracy. Sure, you may have voted that. Okay, you as a state, the state itself may have voted that person in. But that still doesn't mean that on the federal level we work as a democracy. We as the people, like I'm here in Oregon, right? Think about it this way. I'm here in Oregon. I'm voting for somebody to represent us on the federal floor. We're all voting and, whoever gets the most votes technically wins, that sort of thing. And then they make decisions on our behalf. They decide on what to vote for when it comes to federal law. We have no real say-so. We can call up our senators. We could call them up in Washington, sure. But at the end of the day, they don't have to do what we say. And that's the beauty, because here's the thing. Democracy is not as great as you think it is at the federal level. On the state level, that's fine. On the state level, if you need to vote for certain laws to be passed within your state, go ahead. But democracy on the federal level is poisonous. It is fucking poison. So when you have a leg lady branch, who makes laws? Don't they vote on the federal level? What are you talking about? It's a republic. Still not a democracy. Hey, thank you, Scuffed Beef Fraser. Thank you for the 100. 100, yum yum. 100, yum yum. Dude, by the way, what kind of solutions do you have on the federal level if democracy doesn't work? We already have something that does work at the federal level. The systems we have in place already work. That's simple. We have the three branches of government. We have representatives and senators that are voted to be there by each state, and they represent the interests of each state. So I don't know what you're getting at. I think what we have going on is perfectly fine. Is it ever evolving? Yes. But what we have is fine. Democracy is a joke, by the way. Democracy dies because it is darkness. You know that old saying that democracy dies in darkness? That was like the Washington Post's stupid frickin' slogan for ages. Well, democracy is darkness, is what it should say. Democracy is mob rule. Democracy leads to things like witch hunts and terrible things happening to individuals because the mob says they should happen. Change needs to be slow, not rapid. Our founding fathers realized this, and that was some fucking wisdom. People, you've admitted it. What are you dude? What is this person saying? Yeah, but it's not the power of the people. You've admitted it. People. Yeah, we vote on somebody to represent us at the federal. Dude, I can't talk to. Okay, this person might be too dumb. This is ridiculous. Look, buddy, you talk to the rest of the chat, man, because I can't stand it, man. Thank you, Sam. I know I do have a sexy voice. I get it. An eye that sharp. I don't know what that means, but thank you. I appreciate it. I do have a sexy voice. Smiling, yeah. Yeah, I have. I don't. My teeth are not that great, but Yeah. Either way, all I know is that we're a constitutional representative republic. That's about it. We're not a democracy at the federal level. On the state level, yes, democracy principles exist. On the federal level, no. Well, thank you, Sam. I appreciate you. And but thank you for the compliments, though. I really do appreciate it. I really do. Yeah, I'm not going to be live. I'm not going to be doing a live for too long tonight. I'm going to be kind of relaxing on this one, doing nothing too crazy tonight, but... We have the secret show, by the way. Make sure... hold on. Well, I appreciate it. I do feel like I got kind of a good jawline, but I appreciate it, Sam. Thank you for the compliments. I try to be handsome. I have got Adonis DNA or something like that. I don't know. But I appreciate the compliments. I really do. Because I'm doing what I can to be a better man. Yarp Yarp says, your jawline makes me wish I was gay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. My brony brother. My brony brother. Yeah, I was going to say, one of the ways that I've been staying a little more in shape lately is just by doing sit-ups. I've been trying to get my abdominal muscles working a little bit. It helps with circulation. It kind of straightens out the back. And, yeah. When I say sit-ups, I'm talking really more about chin-ups and stuff like that. Yeah, it's really cool to see all the different people in the chat right now. Make sure you guys tap the subscribe button and tap the like button. The more likes, the more subscribes we have, the better. It pushes the show out as much as it can. Because I'm doing what I can to be a better man. Why is everybody asking if I whack it? Somebody explain this to me, please. You guys are so obsessed with the term of whacking it. I'm trying to understand the mindset here. So everybody's asking if okay, Cody, I'm a power bottom, yes. Everybody's asking if I'm a bottom or a top. Well, look, everybody refers to me as a bottom. I'd like to believe I'm a top, but really I've got bottom energy. But I do believe I'm a power bottom, but also people have said, no, he's not a power bottom. He's a passive, they say that I'm a passive bottom who thinks I'm a top. I don't know. It's a weird situation. I don't have any frosting on tonight. I'm going a little lax tonight. I'm not going cray-cray. But I do accept gifts, though. If anybody wants to gift Zaddy, any memberships, I will absolutely welcome that, by the way. Because I'm doing what I can to be a better man. I won in fantasy football. Do I take a lot of fiber from my power bottom lifestyle? I don't. David, what do you believe I do? I don't reveal too much about my private life to people because I do like to stay anonymous as best as possible. So, I mean, look at the U.S. government shutdown. I mean, look at the Senate voted what they needed to do. It's going to the House to do whatever stuff it needs to do there. I'm excited, man. The U.S. Senate, I'm just going to, like I said, I'm going to go over this one more time. So the U.S. Senate approved key legislation to end the longest government shutdown in its history, forwarding it to the House for passage. This does affect federal workers, services, travel disruptions, especially airports, and political stability in the U.S. The final deal in the House will determine how many services resume and what offsets or policy trade-offs were made. But, I think we're, I think we're ending 2025 on a positive note. By the way, still a huge Trump fan, I do think that there have been some oversteps for sure. But, there have been a lot of presidents that have overstepped. I'm not going to lie. I can't vote Democrat because Democrats, well, they believe in democracy on the federal level. I don't think they give one iota about. I feel like they don't really care about the Constitution, I don't know if Trump necessarily does either. Sometimes I wonder, and that does piss me off a bit. But, I would still rather have Trump than a Democrat. I would. Is Trump perfect? No. Do I feel like it would be worse? Hey, he's done a lot of good, I think he's done a lot of good, man. So, whatever. I think Trump's done fantastic. Yeah, people can hate on that all they want, but I can't help it, man. I think Trump's the GOAT, dude. By the way, you guys, if you guys want to become a channel member, we have an exclusive show now called The Secret Show. And if you guys want to subscribe and then become a channel member, absolutely go for it. Yeah, Donald Trump has deregulated a lot of different things. That's one of the things. One of the big reasons I love Trump is his ability to try to deregulate, get rid of federal agencies. There's a lot of crap. There's a lot of crap at the federal level. And I can't even, if I remember right, he cut a lot of IRS jobs. Which, look, I don't like it when people lose their jobs. I really don't. But there are too many federal agencies, and I think a lot of them need to be dismantled slowly, but not rapidly. I don't think the federal government needs to run too many things. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Not every... we started with 4 federal agencies, and we got 4,000? Come on, man. Come on. That is one of my biggest pet peeves, is that people want too much federal government. Why? Government is not supposed to provide products or services because every time it does, it messes it up. It does. Government overcomplicates things. They put people in positions where they don't deserve to be there. People who work in government usually are the most incompetent of the bunch. That's why they work for government. They're not in the private sector. And, I don't give a shit if people think I'm harsh on that. That's just my point of view. Thank you, Sean P, for the 100. 2 joules, yum, yum. 100, yum, yum. 100%, brother. Right about now. Funk Show, brother. Check it out now. Funk Show, brother. Right about now. Funk Show, brother. Check it out now. Funk Show, brother. Right about now. About now. About now. About now. Trickle-down economics have never worked. Are you kidding me? Here's the thing. The reason trickle-down economics can't work is not because it doesn't work. It's because government constantly interferes with the free market. If government didn't interfere with the free market, things would be a lot better. By the way, the reason that people are lifted out of poverty is not because of government intervention. No. It is because capitalism works. Capitalism, for the most part, is providing products and services. And if you don't, you go bankrupt as a company and you no longer exist as a company. The best companies stay, the worst companies go. Simple as that. Corporations are not meant to take care of you. They're meant to provide you a product and service, and some of those services are supposed to take care of you. Yes. I don't believe capitalism is a bad thing. In fact, look, when you create products and services, you're creating wealth right there by providing those products and services. And yes, you will always get paid less than your production output. That's the point. You want to give more than you take. That's the whole philosophy of capitalism. And, I'm a huge fan of capitalism. I don't think it's a bad thing. In fact, I think that socialism and communism are bad things. So, trickle-down economics is not ideal. It's not always perfect. No system is perfect, by the way. Everybody who says trickle-down economics doesn't work, why isn't everybody rich? It's like, well, let's think of communism and socialism then, because clearly you think that those are probably good ideas. Let's see. So this person says the problem with corporations is when they make massive profits, they take that money and reinvest in their company with stock buybacks. They're not necessarily investing in the... What is wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with stock buybacks. Are you kidding me? First off, you're reinvesting in the company. You're treating your shareholders right. So here's the thing. I believe that companies, if you're a publicly traded company, you have a responsibility to the shareholders. You also have a responsibility to your employees. Yes, I believe that. But you got to make both happy. Sometimes you got to make a little compromise here and there, right? I love stock buybacks because that means they're taking shares out of circulation by buying back those shares with the excess profits that they have. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Why is that a big deal? Dude, this person is not like, is he coming? So let's see. So communism absolutely does not work. We can agree there. But I do believe social democracy done right. What? No. Social democracy. Social democracy. I'll give you a chance on this one, but I have a feeling I think it's a stupid idea. Let's see. Can work. Example in Sweden, Norway, and other countries. By the way, Sweden and Norway, they're not necessary. I would not like to call them Trump. So first off, I actually invest in international companies and U.S.-based companies. Not only I'm invested across the globe. So I don't really care if you guys, if the market was to crash tomorrow, I would just buy more stocks. I'd buy more ETFs that expose me to the stock market. Yeah. That is the stupidest question in the world. No, but I never thought that capitalism was evil. In fact, if anything, it's brought more people out of poverty, and I think that socialism and communism keep people in poverty. It's also a very limited scarcity mindset that most socialists and communists have. They believe that everything is going to go away. Let's see. Marxism is a perversion. Marxism is basically communism. Communism and socialism. The real difference there is that communism, I think, suggests, if I remember right, that most of the means of production need to be taken over by the government, which is a bad idea, by the way. Government should never control any means of production. That's why I can't stand how many federal agencies we have. Sick. Socialism and communism, by the way, are both collectivist ideals. Collectivism doesn't work. I am not a fan of collectivism at all. I think that where you have excessive collectivism, especially on the federal level, you have excessive pain. I believe that collectivism in itself is the root of all evil. I do. I believe that collectivism sucks. And I think it's overrated. I don't mind. I'm saying when I say collectivism sucks, I'm talking about on the federal level. I think within certain on a small level, collectivism's fine. Once you put collectivism into a big old group, though, that's when it gets disturbing. So you got to be careful, man. You got to tread lightly on certain waters, man. So Good Anytime says you should check out Tolstoyism. You might find it interesting. Thinking collectivism is worse than what is going on now, though. You're a lost cause, buddy. Actually, Good Anytime, you can call me a lost cause, but if you think collectivism is a good thing at the federal level, yeah. I think what's going on now is just fine. It could be improved, sure. But I don't think collectivism is the answer. Collectivism tends to not be the answer. And I think more people die under collectivist ideals than individualist ideals. Yes, I'd believe that. And by the way, these are my true beliefs. I don't think there's anything crazy about my beliefs. You guys may think they're crazy. I don't give a crap. I don't actually think we're in an oligarchy completely. Bobby M says, do you believe billionaires have our best interest in mind? It doesn't matter whether they have our best interest in mind or not. Billionaires are billionaires. If their net worth is $1 billion, it doesn't mean they have $1 billion in the bank. It means that their entire net worth is pretty much in their assets, by the way, just as a fun fact. So it's not like they could just pull out all this billions of dollars to pay for everything. Literally, their entire net worth sits in assets. That's what net worth measurement is. It's not just the cash you have in the bank. It's the assets that you hold. So the reason guys like Bezos and stuff like that and Musk get rich is because they hold on to their shares of the companies, not only the companies that they own, but other companies that they own. Simple as that. So millionaires don't need our best interests at heart. They don't really. Why do they care? Why should they care? They shouldn't. They don't need to. If I was a billionaire, I would care about some causes for sure. I would probably be donating most of my money to childhood cancer research, to try to get rid of cancer, like give most of my money to St. Jude, that sort of thing. Which, by the way, if you guys haven't, definitely donate to St. Jude. They're an incredible organization, by the way. It's one of those organizations that I wholeheartedly trust, and I love them. I love what they're doing for those kids, man. Bard Lukin is saying, what did LeBron James do? I don't know. Why would Trump pull the plug on cancer research on the federal level? Probably because we shouldn't be doing too much on the... Here's the thing. At the federal level, we don't need to be researching everything. All of our tax dollars don't need to go to all these different causes. Look, if you want to help cure cancer, seriously, donate to charities. The federal government researching cancer, by the way, means nothing. Absolutely nothing. I just don't have faith in the federal government, I guess is the truth. That's why I don't mind when Trump is dismantling federal organizations. I don't mind it. So I think most people would probably see where I'm coming from. Karma, everybody's greedy and selfish. Some people just have more to work with than others. Karma, you're probably just as greedy and selfish as Trump. You just don't have as much to work with. Let's see. The problem with a lot of charities is the CEO of that charity usually takes about 80% of the charity. That's not true for every charity, though. You got to look up the charities, by the way. You need to see where the money's going. There's a few websites that allow you to check if a charity is legit or not. I can't remember which ones those are, but I do know. But I do know that St. Jude's is the best, in my opinion. Look, those kids, man. It's nice that they don't have to get billed. You know what I mean? It's nice that their parents don't have to go bankrupt or anything, and they could be there for their kid, that they'll have housing and... But no, I really do believe that St. Jude is the best out of all them. Heck yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, they're just a great organization, though. All right, so let's see. Bobby M is asking, did you graduate from Trump University? That would have been so dope if that was the case. I would be honored to graduate from Trump University. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Some are fighting demons that never seem to leave them. Holding your hearts in your hand, bury your head in the sand. Give what we never get back. Folding the cards we've been dealt, feelings we shouldn't have felt. I'm going out of my head, I'm going out of my head. 3 cheers to the ones that don't grow up. 24 forever till we self-destruct. Lifestyles of the broken, dangerous. Maybe they'll name a hurricane after us. 3 cheers to the ones that made it. Top spot of your favorite playlist. Who cares how we got this famous, but maybe they'll name a hurricane after us. Whoa. Why is everybody talking about Epstein? Why are you guys talking about Epstein? What's going on here? Some people cut too deep, hard to reach, never answer phone calls. It hurts less if you don't talk.
Laugh out loud.
Sending you money so you stop eating your boogers.
Look, man, I like eating my boogers, though, dude. Thank you for the super chat, my Brony brother. My brony baloney brother. What's up, T-Dog? What's going on, champion? Bobby M says, sending you money so you stop eating your boogers.
Laugh out loud.
Sending you money so you stop eating your boogers.
My brony brother. That's what's up. Pinto Biscuit is asking, yo, bro, have you heard of Gabe? Gabe? And then the last name's Owners. Okay. Gabe Owners. Interesting. I don't know. Well, the name doesn't sound familiar. I don't know, man. We're very lost. We're lost in this life. Why should I end the stream? I refuse. Make sure you guys tap the subscribe button and hit the like button as well. What's the 401? I don't have a 401k. I got individual brokerage accounts. That's how I roll, man. Individual brokerage accounts through Charles Schwab and Robinhood, and I just invest a lot, man. I love investing. I do swing trade the VT, though. I do swing trade the VT, which is the Vanguard Total World Index ETF, and ETF stands for Exchange Traded Funds, just for those who don't know. But yeah, VT and SBIT. I love the SBIT, by the way. I think a 50-year mortgage at a low interest rate would be very interesting. Think about it this way. It would be one of those things that if you had real, because I consider a house to be a money pit, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you guys. So if I was able to get 50-year mortgage is just that's such a long time. I mean, obviously you'd be selling the house before that 50 years is up, but I don't know. I like the freedom that renting gives me, and honestly, my investments pay me quite a bit. And yeah, it's just kind of a win-win situation, man. Don't you think it would drive up home value? Probably. I mean, so did illegal immigration technically drove up home value, but nobody talks about that. But, you know, it's neither here nor there. It's just an opinion. I mean, a 50-year mortgage would put a lot of buyers out on the market, that's for sure. So the demand would be increased by quite a bit, which would, if the supply is less than the demand, yeah, the price of homes would go up. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, property value in New York went down? That doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me at all. Dude, he is like, honestly, he's so anti-landlord that people are not going to want to have real estate there. Why would you want to have real estate in New York if a guy like Maran, whatever his name is there, man? It just sounds ridiculous, man. I just think that the problem is he's just going to... Here's why I'm glad he won. Mondani, that's his name. Yeah, last name Mondani. Here's why I'm happy Mondani won. Not because I think he's going to be good for New York. On the contrary. I think he's going to show just how bad communist principles are at the state level. Let him ruin New York. Because he's going to. I don't want to see New York crumble, but I mean, I don't. I really don't. But I mean, honestly, we're going to see people, all these leftists are going to see firsthand just how crummy communism is. And here's the problem, though. They're not going to realize how crummy it is. That's the irony. It'll be right there in their face. And they're going to be in there. What they're going to do is they're going to be like, oh, no, we got to blame Trump when communism doesn't work. No, you got to blame communism because communism sucks. Yeah, I can't stand communists at this point in my life. The older I get, the more I'm just like, if you believe in communism, that's up to you. You know, I'm not going to hate on people who believe in communism too much, but I'm going to say this. I don't get it. It's like, I look at communism, I look at it like this. If you believe in communism in 2025, with all the history that's been accumulated on this concept of communist principles, I look at you no different than a flat earther. I seriously, I think that communists and flat earthers might be in the same boat. Because it's like, I think communism is pretty anti-reality, and I think flat earth is pretty anti-reality and anti-science. Because it's like, well, here's the thing. Flat earth is so annoying. That theory is so stupid. Just because there's so much evidence, right? When there's a lot of evidence to show the contrary, it's just wild that somebody could still believe in certain things. Stalin proved there is no end to evil. Absolutely. Yeah, and here's the thing, man. The last thing we need to give a communist is power. Because the reason that most people, I think, are communists is because they want to control others. They do. They tend to be the first to, I mean, if you look at majority of communists out there, right? They want centralized control. They also want someone to pamper and take care of them. This is one of the reasons why I believe that communism, at its root cause, is daddy issues. I think the root cause of all communist beliefs is daddy issues, straight up. It's daddy issues personified. It's just my opinion. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I don't actually believe in Trump. I think he's the man. I don't know if he's going to do everything right, but I still would rather have him than somebody who believes in communism and socialism. But communists and flat earthers are in the same boat. Seriously. Flat earthers and communists, I really do believe I see communists as no different than a flat earther. Because communism is such an ancient idea and such a BS idea, because there's a lot of proof that it doesn't work with humanity. And if it doesn't work with humanity, just don't do it. And the excuse I hear every time is it was never properly implemented. Communism needs to be implemented properly. Stop it. Yeah, I still don't get it. You know? My main issue is I just don't get it. On paper, communism seems like an okay idea. And then you read a little deeper and it's like, okay. And then you see it in practice. And you're like, oh, it's not that fair. Because a lot of the time with communism is it's really the rich subsidizing the poor, or the haves who legitimately, work their ass off have to give a whole bunch of what they have to people who haven't worked that much. It usually is that case. Now, there are social programs that need to exist, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I'm happy about that. But at the same time, it's like we don't need to be riddled. We don't need to have our country riddled with socialist and communist ideals. I think it's just stupid. Yeah, in socialist communist countries, man, it's just like, first off, here's one thing I want to say to you guys. If you're on a computer or you're on your smartphone, do you see this? Communists and socialists. If you're on this, or if you're on a computer, or if you're using a kitchen appliance like a toaster or a pan, if you are a real communist and a socialist, you wouldn't use any of these things, because innovation doesn't happen in communist and socialist countries. The group identity is more important than the individual, right? Seriously, think about this. Think about this really, it's a very simple logical, it's logic 101 here, right? Since innovation doesn't happen in communist and socialist countries, it just doesn't. And if it does, there's a little bit of it, but that's only because they had to be innovative, well, without the government seeing it. The problem with the government controlling too much is that the government tends to ban things too much, things that shouldn't be banned, if we're going to be honest. And I just don't trust government. And I think if you trust government to make decisions about everything, if you want government to control means of production, that's idiotic. Actually, what's funny is innovation doesn't usually have... Dude, China is typically... have you heard of intellectual properties theft that China gets away with on a day-to-day basis? Dude, China doesn't invent anything. They just steal ideas that are created in the U.S. by people who actually create the ideas. I'm sorry, innovation does not happen in places like China. Research how much intellectual property China uses from the U.S. Like, they basically take our ideas and they make cheap knockoffs. China's not innovative. On the contraire. How's that not true? Like, dude, it may have softened out over time, but no more than 5 years ago, that was a problem. Look, there may be some small cases where, like, a primarily communist and socialist country actually allows for innovation, but that's very rare. Very, very rare. I do think I think intellectual property matters. It does. It absolutely does. And I wish more people took it seriously. I really do. I think inventing things matters, man. Eric the Great, what are you going on about? I'm going to admit, though, I think I need to stand up for myself a little bit. I feel like too many people try to tell me what to do intellectually, right? And you always have people saying like, "Ooh," it's like people. What really grinds my gears. I'm going to do a little grinds my gears thing real quick. Just because I don't vote Democrat doesn't mean I'm full on MAGA. I like Trump. Don't get me wrong. I think Trump's the man. I don't agree with everything he does, but I would rather have Trump than a Democrat. Democrats, I believe, the Democrat Party's so bad. It lacks leadership. It believes in collectivism. They talk about socialism and communism being good things. Ew. Gross. And it's a problem, man. They've been hijacked by radical leftists. The entire party has. I don't want that. That's why I don't vote Democrat. I just can't. I can't find it within my soul, man. Sorry. But that's my right. I have the right to I have a right to a political opinion. I love the fact that everybody has a right to their own political opinion. I just, if a communist or a socialist runs, I'm not voting for them. And I don't think anybody else should either. If they want to, they can. If you want to vote for socialism and communism, well, sorry. Say goodbye to freedom. Because eventually freedom erodes. The individual no longer becomes important. The group identity becomes highly important. That's all that matters. Look at the Borg from Star Trek. If you want a better idea of why socialism and communism are a scary thing, look at the Borg. The drones have no freedom, right? Let's dissect the Borg real quick, because the Borg are a great example of why I hate collectivism. There's no freedom, no pizzazz, no individuality. Just, they're all working for a common goal, sure. Now, I'm talking about the Borg the way they were originally written, not the way that they were written for the Star Trek First Contact movie. So, for example, in Star Trek First Contact, the Borg have a queen, right? But the way that they're originally written, they actually have no centralized leadership in the original. You know what I mean? The way the Borg were originally written, there was no centralized leadership, like a Borg queen, which honestly made them more ominous. I think that they were scarier without centralized leadership, because that really means you can't negotiate with them. And just like any mob, in a mob, you can't negotiate with the mob. They either want you dead or alive or whatever, right? No, we're talking, first off, it's funny, in fiction, a lot of things that are created in fiction, especially in science fiction, are inspired by things that happen in real life. The Borg were inspired by collectivism. The concept of the Borg was inspired by the downfall of collectivism, on how it actually really is a bad thing at the end of the day. And that the group identity for the Borg was more important than the drones. The drones were sacrificial pawns, if you think about it. But yeah, no, I think what I'm saying is pretty simple. The modern Democrat parties become a lot like the Borg. You can't negotiate with them. They're going to try to rule with an iron fist.
Laugh out
things
loud.
Like that.
In America, you don't have to exist on boogers. Inflation is high, we get it.
Bobby
Your
M
nose
says in
candy isn't
America
enough
you
to
don't.
survive.
Thanks for the $5 super chat, my brony brother. Bobby M says in America you don't have to exist on boogers. Inflation is high. We get it. Your nose candy isn't enough to survive. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. I don't know how I feel about that. Don't come in tomorrow, girls. What are you talking about? But yeah, I think I appreciate Bobby M. I appreciate that super chat. It's very sexual. Is it sexual? Feels kind of sexual. I'm going out of my head. 3 cheers to the ones that don't grow up. 24 forever till we self-destruct. Lifestyles of the broken, dangerous. Maybe they'll name a hurricane after us. 3 cheers to the ones that made it. Lifestyles of the broken famous. Who cares how we got this famous, but maybe they'll name a hurricane after us. What's my favorite music? All of it. So Cayman's asking, who do you think built the pyramids? Slaves. Simple as that. My favorite kind of pizza is pepperoni pizza. Jack Adams, yeah, I'm basically yum yum NPC. Yum yum. Who goes there? Identify yourself. Snake, this is the Colonel. No, hold on. This is Solid Snake. Snake, can you hear me? No, you didn't. You didn't build the pyramids. Well, maybe you did. I don't know. You didn't. Your ancestors might have, but you didn't. Hold on, you guys. I got a juicy one here. Hold on. Fuck. Ooh. Yum, yum. But thank you guys for. I love all the virtual gifts as well, like the happy poop, yum yum. Happy poop, yum yum. Happy poop, yum yum. Happy poop, yum yum. Oh yeah, happy poop, yum yum. So I am curious about the 50-year mortgage. People keep mentioning this, and the concept sounds interesting. Let's gauge this a little bit. Okay, so there's a CNBC article saying Trump proposes a 50-year mortgage, but some say homeowner savings would be minimal. Interesting. Well, at least the government's on pace to getting back open again. That's a good thing. Things will be funded. I still don't think the federal government should have that much power, but honestly, just suddenly shutting off these entities is not always a good thing. Change needs to be slow. It needs to happen, but it needs to be slow. Sometimes change cannot always be so rapid. I know people want rapid change, but it's not always the best way. Trust me. Let's see. Another attempt to make home buying more affordable, President Donald Trump floated the idea of a 50-year mortgage in a social media post. In response, Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pultz, who oversees Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, posted that they are working on it and that it would be a complete game changer. The purpose of a longer-term mortgage would be to lower the monthly payment for homeowners. The longer the term of the loan, the smaller the principal needed each month to pay it off in full. But such a plan has other trade-offs. Using the latest median sale price of a home from September, $415,200, according to the National Association of Realtors, and the current interest rate of about 6.3%. By the way, it's a CNBC article. According to Mortgage News Daily, on a 30-year fixed loan with a 20% down payment, the monthly payment of just principal and interest would be $2,056. If you raise the length to 50 years at the same interest rate, the payment would be $1,823, a savings of $230. That is still insane. Even with a 50-year mortgage, if we're going off of a $415,000 house, what would be the incentive to buy a house? To be honest, that just seems like a house is a pure money pit. I think I'd rather just rent because here's the thing, I have a lot of assets, mainly stocks. Those stocks pay me. I have, luckily I got my YouTube channel, and that's been a source of virtual real estate in a lot of ways. But yeah, homeowners, however, would not build equity as quickly because their principal payments would be smaller. The amount of interest paid to lenders would be 40% higher. Okay, that's interesting. How it might work, the real question is, can Fannie and Freddie do this? Analysts say it is possible, but a 50-year mortgage does not currently meet the definition of a qualified mortgage under the Dodd-Frank Act, which provides investors with a backup from Fannie and Freddie if a loan goes bad. But regulators were given the authority to change that in order to ensure mortgage affordability. That, however, could take up to a year, given the need for congressional approval. According to Jarrett Seiberg, a financial services and housing policy analyst at TD Cowen, Fannie and Freddie could establish a secondary market for 50-year mortgages in advance of policy changes. They even could buy mortgages for their retained portfolios, yet this would not alter the legal liability for lenders. It is why we believe lenders will not originate 50-year mortgages absent QM, qualified mortgage policy changes. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, like, a 50-year mortgage, especially in a house that expensive, by the way, they were... Look, hopefully, I know that was a medium house price, not every single... It's like the average, basically. Oh. Let's just face it, homes are not affordable at all. I think most of these homes are extremely overvalued. And honestly, I'd be more tempted to buy a tiny home. Oh, Karma, thank you so much for the corgi. I appreciate it. Corgi, yum, yum. I'm just kidding. No, thank you for the corgi, Karma. That's 1,000 joules. Wow. Everybody give a round of applause for Karma for the corgi. I appreciate it big time. Thank you. These things do help the channel grow, so virtual gifts are a big deal to this channel. It does help a lot. So if you guys want to give away any virtual gifts, if you got like virtual jewels or whatever, and you want to give me like a corgi just like Karma gave me, if you want to give me a little gift, I want some cool gifts, you guys. Happy poop, yum yum. But this corgi, I want to thank you for this virtual gift corgi. Means a lot to me. And make sure you guys subscribe to Karma for doing such a cool thing. Also, make sure you subscribe to my home dog. There's another home dog I have on here. I have plenty of home dogs. Bobby M. Make sure you guys subscribe to Bobby M. Bobby, Damn it, Bobby. Damn it, Dale. That boy ain't right. Thank you, Karma, for the corgi. Winning. I'm not doing a flip, yo. I is not doing a flippy. I refuse. Three cheers to the ones that don't grow up. 24 forever till we self-destruct. Lifestyles of the broken, dangerous. Maybe they'll name a hurricane after us. Why does everybody love me so much? Everybody thinking I'm out of touch. Everybody thinks that I am so cute. If I ever need someone to come along, who's gonna cover me and keep me strong? What are you talking about? But thank you, Karma. I appreciate the corgi. That corgi's pretty pimp. I love the virtual gifts. Yum, yum. Make sure you guys subscribe to Karma. Hell yeah. Kick It with Grimace says, put mustard on and tell me about swing trades. I do enjoy swing trading, by the way. I really do. No mustard tonight. No mustard tonight, though, everybody. But I do appreciate everybody for being so patient and so beautiful. You're all so beautiful. Yeah. What are you guys talking about? Some people trying to start some crap in the chat, it looks like. What's my favorite way of embarrassing myself? I don't know. I don't really get embarrassed by a lot of stuff, so it's pretty tough to choose. Surprisingly, I don't even feel any shame or embarrassment when I put mustard and frosting on my face. I get kind of a sense of ecstasy, oddly enough, when I do that, but it's really weird. I get happy to a lot of strange things. Okay, you guys, I'm a little bit tired at the moment. What are you talking about, Masca? Talking Parrot is asking, can you fit your whole fist in your mouth? That would be super cool if I could do that, by the way. I don't think I have that capability, though. I'm your favorite gay streamer? Okay, I'll take that. What allegations are you talking about, Masca? Ugh. I have no idea. People, first off, I don't even know who you are. Second, thank you, Kenneth Albee. I appreciate the 2 jewels. We got a corgi earlier, which was pretty dope. And we got 2 jewels. 2 jewels, yum yum. Oh, thank you, Kenneth. I appreciate it. Yeah, I love having the Lysol on the top of the fridge, man. Makes me happy. All right, well, you guys, I'm a little bit tired, man. All right, so just make sure that you guys, if you guys want, give me a virtual gift right before I go to bed. In fact, I'll tell you what. If you guys want to keep the stream going for about 10 seconds longer after my countdown, virtual gift. So we're going to end the stream in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I'll give you guys a few moments to give some virtual gifts. If a virtual gift comes through, I will keep the stream going for another 10 seconds. I'll give you guys just a few more moments. All right. I'm going to hit the end stream button unless I see a virtual gift. I'm going to hit it. Right about to hit that end stream. If you guys want me to keep this going. If you want more, put a virtual gift on the table. I'll give you guys a moment, but for every virtual gift I receive, I'll add 10 seconds to the timer. You see what I'm saying? It's pretty dope, man. Have a good night. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, by the way. Hit the subscribe button in the upper right-hand corner, and if you can, tap the like button as well. I appreciate you. Masaka. Wait, is that Masaka? Okay, Masaka, I'll give you a few moments. We'll see if Masaka's the real deal. I don't know if I've got faith that Masaka's being true. You just gotta double tap the screen to like it, to like the stream. All right, well, I don't see any virtual gifts. I don't see any additional super chats. So super chats or gifts can keep the stream going. All right. Oh, okay, since we're going to give... Okay, we'll give a one more 10-second countdown now that people know the official rules. So here... 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Subscribe button is in the upper right hand corner. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. No virtual gifts. I don't see anything. I guess I'm going to have to end the stream.